Hey, 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 welcome, welcome. It's Friday Reads Live. This is Dee Dee, and I'm here to talk to you about what I'm reading today, this weekend, and into the following week. Welcome to the first three people that are in the chat. Um, welcome to our Friday afternoon chat. Hey, 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 Latrice, how are you? How was your Friday going? What are you reading? How is everything? Hello, Cher. Hello, Nicole. Welcome, welcome. Um, well, today was a good day. It's so sunny. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do that much in the afternoon outside, but I went outside in the morning. I had to work in the afternoon, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Okay, beautiful. Oh no, sick all week. Jeez, get better quick, Latrice. I hope you completely gotten better. I'm sorry to hear that. How are you, Alicia? How is everything? Happy Friday to you. Happy Friday, Amalola. Happy Friday, Nicole, everybody. Oh wait, let's see. Did I miss some people? Wait. It's going too fast. All right, let's see. Cher said on yeah, she's saying Nicole said she didn't read all week, but reading Red Island House. Okay, very nice. You lost your voice. What did you have? The flu? That's what when I lost my voice, that's what I had was the flu. It really messed me up too. Jesus. Get better soon. Stay in and be careful because spring is beautiful and everything, but you still gotta, you gotta get the neck covered and everything. So like when I go out, I always put a scarf on. And yeah, well, sinus infection, this is also the period. Another good thing for sinus infection is go out and get yourself some eucalyptus and put it all over your house. The eucalyptus helps to kind of drain when you're having sinus issues. Hope you feel better soon or you have some medication or something like that. Yeah, and the pollen is no joke. It's no joke. You are correct about that. It's pretty crazy. But the eucalyptus, don't sleep on the eucalyptus because it really does work. Putting the eucalyptus around the house. Hello, Curtis. How are you? Happy Friday. Let me just get started and tell you what I'm reading. Okay, so I'm finally reading James. Yay! Okay, so I'm only about 40 pages in, not even 33 pages in, and I'm loving it. Okay, next book I'm reading is Le Père Goriot. I'm enjoying this one as well. I'm reading this one with Anna in French, and we're supposed to be heading on to the second part of the book, and I am around page 168, and I probably have like another, I don't know, another 60 pages to go to get to the middle of the book. But I'm enjoying it. This turned out to be real good. And the third book I'm reading is this one right here, this big chunker right here, which is The Potato Factory by Bryce Courtney. This is one that I had put on my mammoth book list to read, and I started reading it yesterday, and it's so good. Like I'm on page 101. This is about I think it's 832 pages, but when you're reading it, it doesn't feel like that at all. It reads, it's very engrossing. So this is basically a story that is going to show us like the beginnings of Australia, and it's told through the eyes of a character called Ike Solomon, and Ike Solomon was a real person back in the day. He was a crook and maybe even a murderer at this point. I'm not sure yet, but that's what it's kind of being insinuated to. And it talks about how he did all these bad deeds in London, and then he got shipped over to I think it's called what's it called Van Diemen's Land, which is actually Tasmania. So I'm reading this and I really am enjoying it. Bryce Courtney is a fantastic storyteller. I mean, woo, so good. All right, so that's what your girl is reading. Now let's get back to the comments. Okay, Nicole said, has anyone read Dion Brown's book In Another Place? I have not read anything by Dion Brown, so I can't help you there. But maybe somebody else has. Bernie M, hello. Currently reading Death of the Author. It is really good. I recently finished James. Okay, and I'm reading it right now. Cher said, still reading The Fraud. Okay. It's not bad, but it's not addictive either. Been 2 weeks and only halfway through. Yeah, I've heard that it's a pretty solid book, but that it maybe isn't as engrossing. But I mean, that's not that that's not out of the ordinary for Zadie Smith because she does read. She does, her books really read as, real literary fiction, so it's not gonna be for everybody. It's not anything that's gonna be a fast read. Let's see. Latrice said, house sitting. Oh, house sitting for your mom this week. As soon as I got here, my throat. Oh no, Jesus, that's terrible. Is it? Do you? Is it? Is does your mom have a cat or something? I don't know. Is like, could that be it? Because I know I can't. If somebody asked me to house sit and they said they had a cat or a dog, it would have to be somebody else. Because I don't. I can't do pets. My asthma starts acting up. So I totally understand. Um Hello, Alexander says Bernie, I also just started Death of the Author. Somebody else, two people reading the same book. Great. Shara said to hear you liking the Potato Factor. I bought that one on Audible almost a decade ago and need to. Yeah, well, see, I have the trilogy. It's been sitting on my shelf for like much longer than 10 years for sure, much longer. And I just said like I need to just see what this is all about because the first Bryce Courtney book I read was ooh, what is that book called? The first one I read by him was The Power of One, and I just thought that book was so good. And then after that, I read part two of that series, which is Tandia. But I didn't like Tandia as much as I liked The Power of One. But it was good, Tandia. I mean, it wasn't good. It just wasn't. It wasn't as. I guess because the first book I was learning everything, so I really liked The Power of One, and I liked the main character. But then he has this thing with this girl Tandia, this black girl Tandia, and I don't know, it wasn't as interesting the storyline, but I still read it, and it still was written well. It just wasn't as good as the first one. And then I happened upon this series, the Potato Factory series, and I said, "Oh, maybe I should read that since it's called the Australian Trilogy." And so I purchased these 3 years ago, and so now I'm just getting to it. But I am not sorry. Let me tell you, this is good. It's good right there. So let's see. Katrina says, hi everyone, reading The Cotillion by John Oliver Killens. It's a backlisted book. Okay, can you tell me what year that is from, The Cotillion? Because that the name, the title is saying something, but I mean, I know I haven't read it. Let's see. What she says, don't know, but I won't be back for a while once I leave Sunday. Oh, Jesus. Oh, hey, Morgan. Morgan and I are reading James together. She's ahead of me. Morgan, I'm right smack dab in the middle, but I'm about to probably squelch up to page 99 tonight, and I'll be on the Boxer to give you my commentary. So I'm reading James, I'm reading the Pale Goyle, and I'm reading the Potato Factory. So that's where I am. So yeah, so what is going on with everybody? I was just like I thought we could talk about There's two things I want to talk about. So the first one is yeah, well I can tell you, loving the beginning. Oh my God, loving the beginning of James. All right. So I think it was the beginning of this week, or maybe a couple days ago. Wait, Amalola says listening to the Exiles, Christina Baker Klein, starting the Old Drift. I like the Old Drift. That was pretty good. And finishing up The Gift of Rain. Okay, by Tan Tuan Ing. Okay. Hey Celeste, how are you? Curtis says still reading The Last Hero, A Life of Henry Aaron by Howard Bryant and Medical Apartheid. Yeah, you're gonna be reading Medical Apartheid for a minute now. Um, nah, yeah, you got to get your mind right. I can't do it. I really can't. Every time I go past my bookshelf and I see that book, literally, I just skip on by, turn my head. I can't do it. No way. I don't think I can do it. Um, Nicole said DNF the fraud. I think White Teeth was the only thing I need to read from Zadie Smith. Yeah, the White Teeth is really very good. Hey Tracy, how are you? Cher said love Tan Tuan Ing, all three of his novels, very atmospheric and infused with a sense of Zen. Okay. They were an inspiration to come here to Malaysia. I hope you are enjoying it. Okay, very nice, very nice. Um, so I was scrolling on IG, and I got onto a clip from the Booker Prize, and it said how to read 150 books in 6 months. So this is these are the judges that they're asked, and they're like, oh, you can't be married, you can't have a dog, you can't have kids, you can't have a life because you got to read your 150 books in 6 months. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking 150 books in 6 months. So that's like on the average, maybe about 25 books a month, maybe makes about, yeah, 150 books. What y'all think about that? Like, do you really think these judges are reading all of these books, like all 150 books in 6 months? You think they really read all of the book, or do you think they just read half the book or skim the book? What do you think is happening there? Because for me, I'm like 150 books in 6 months. I don't know. Yeah, they're skimming like hell. Oh my god. They are. They only read the ones that make it into the end. Well, no, they can't be reading only the ones that make it to the end. They gotta read something before because they the ones that choose the books that go to the end. They gotta read something. I mean, I'm not saying they read them all, but like how many of these bitches are they really reading? I find this a little disturbing. To put this to put this up to me, just it makes me shake my damn head. I don't know what to think about that. Let's see. Tracy Bell said they aren't reading. Period. Tracy said I think they're only reading a little bit. Okay, so what's a little bit for you, Tracy? Out of 150 books in 6 months, give me what you consider to be a little bit. Nicole said no, I don't think they do. I believe they use payola. What is payola? What is payola? It's cruising. Karen said perhaps audiobooks. Yeah, I could get down with that. I could see that. But even with audiobooks, how many audiobooks can you read before they all start sounding the same? They may listen to a pitch. That's interesting. Morgan said if it doesn't keep their attention, I think they quit reading them. Okay, so they have the DNF voucher, the DNF card. Tracy said it's suspect as hell. Yeah, girl, it is suspect as hell. Um, Rosa said they only read the ones they like. I bet they DNF a lot of stuff. They probably read 30% and make a decision. Now, I think that's probably what they do, but damn, 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 damn. Amalola said, I don't believe them. 150 books in 6 months. I don't care who you are. Yeah, I don't care who you are either, but that's what they putting down in the video. That's what they put down in the video. Now, it's on the Booker Prizes page. It was on their page a couple days ago. I will put it back on my stories if I can find it, and I will put it back on my page so you can actually go and see it yourself. But there are a couple of judges on there. I'm assuming these are actual judges from this one. I'm not really sure because I haven't really looked at it that closely. But there's Caleb Finney is on there, and a couple other people are on there. So I'm assuming these are current judges, and that's what they're putting out in this little clip here. Cher said, "My friend is a judge for the audio awards, and she said they told her to just listen to an hour or so in the preliminary phase, and she only had to read completely when it gets down to 5 to 8 of them." Okay, so then anybody can be a judge at this point. Mm, okay. Religious appeal is when you are paid to pick certain titles. Now, you see, this is what I hope it's not like that. I hope it's not like that. But we never see that first list. We never see the 150 book list, which I would like to see the 150 book list. Um, to see how diverse that list really is. If it is even really diverse, because I feel like that 150 book list would make me understand better why they choose the 15 or whatever it is, 14 or 13 that they choose for the man booker or for the booker, because then I could actually see and maybe understand better why they choose what they choose. But because we can't see the 150 uh, book list, and because the booker refuses to put that list out, because I think people have asked to see this list and they have flat out refused. They will not put that list out. So yeah. It's Cruising Karen said Cliff Notes. Nah, that's not gonna work. They too new. Nicole said like music industry secretly paid to promote. Yeah, we can't say that that's not a possibility because we don't even know what's on the 150 book list. Let's see. Rosa said also they're getting paid, so they probably read 6 to 7 hours a day, maybe. Yeah, but not for no 6 months. Not for no 6 months. Cher said to Amalola, I had to get the hell out of the US. Oh yeah, I rank his books in their publication order. Oh, okay. With the first being my fave, but I loved all three. Okay. No, the booker won't share that list. They refuse to reveal it because it usually comes up every now and then where somebody will say, "Well, how come? Why can't we see the original list? And we'd like to see the original list so we can see." And they're like, "No, But we know that the original list is kind of pushed by publishers. So, the publishers have a new book out, they're going to, that that's just coming out or whatever that they feel should be on that list, they're going to push their book, whatever that is. Now, will it get on the list? Yeah, don't know. It depends. It depends on many things. Sometimes I think they might have some kind of a quota for how many small publishing companies books they accept as opposed to bigger ones. They must have some kind of quota or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm guesstimating over here. I'm a little to share. I'm ecstatic for you. Just watching this place because yeah, dumpster fire girl. Tracy said, I know they hated to see me coming. I used to always ask them. Um, yeah, it's it's funny because they will always promote, when the Booker comes out, and then you have the Booker International, and then they'll always wind up doing some kind of video that will make me be like sourpuss about, the prize. Super sourpuss. And then the fact that they pick, I don't even know how they pick their judges. Like, how they pick their judges. I don't know. I mean, the whole thing to me just reeks of, it's the person's been paid, or, it's some kind of, you owe me a favor or something. And I find it a little distasteful, year after year, because it doesn't seem serious. It really doesn't. It doesn't seem serious enough. I'm Lewis is like this book. Wait, no. All fours are showing up on every list. Yeah, exactly. That's the one by what's her name? Miranda July. I don't know who's read it and liked it. First of all, I've not seen anyone who has read it yet. There's maybe one person I know that has read it, but I haven't looked to see what he has to say about it because I don't really care like that. Um, Tracy said yes. They always get the side eye from me. Yeah, it's. Rosa said that's why the winners are so disappointing. Yeah, they're becoming more and more disappointing. I think maybe the international is maybe a little better. Um, but as far as the diversity thing and just how the books are actually chosen, it just seems a little bit too, yeah. I feel like there may be other prizes that are better to follow than the Booker and the women's. Although the women's always disappoints me profoundly, profoundly disappoints me every year. Let's see. Nicole said, I think all commercial award shows are unfair since the industry is small. The highly marketed books are the ones winning awards. Yeah. Unknown or small independent artists aren't winning at commercial award shows. I don't see it. Yeah, it's and even when they do win from a small publishing company, it's probably because the small publishing company has paid something to get that book slid in there when it wouldn't normally be up for anything anywhere because it's just too small and not enough people have actually read it. Uh-oh, here we come. Alicia said she DNF'd all fours halfway through. Oh, I will throw the book in the trash. Oh my God. Well, I didn't read what it was about, but the things that I've heard about it doesn't sound like my cup of tea. Not really. I don't think Miranda July is really my road. I mean, I like literary fiction, but I still don't think that's my road of literary fiction. So, being like I said, I haven't really heard anyone say anything that is review or really talk about that book. And the fact that it is literally on every freaking prize list, it seems like, just makes me roll my eyes, really, So I don't know. We're gonna see, but I just thought that was interesting that they had this clip with the Booker Prize judges saying, would you say to someone contemplating reading around 150 books in 6 months, to do that kind of thing? What would they? How would they have? What would they have to do to succeed? I just went, ugh. Morgan said the folks at the New York Times book review love that book. I feel it's popular with a lot of white women. Probably, yeah, because isn't Miranda July supposed to be kind of like a feminist writer? Isn't that correct? Um, Rosa said, I've never seen a good slash positive review of all fours from anyone I listened to. See, I'm the same. I mean, I had the only person I saw that did one, I didn't watch it. It was a guy, so I don't know if he liked it or not. But It hasn't been like the hoopla, like ooh, everybody wants to read it. It hasn't been like that, in my opinion. But there's been a lot of talk around it. Like I always see somebody bringing it up, or somebody talking about it or suggesting it or whatever, but they haven't really been talking about the book itself. So yeah. Cher said never heard of all fours, and you guys got me. Miss anything. Well, we don't know, and it doesn't look like any of us are prepared to go and read it, especially now that Alicia just said that she DNF'd it halfway through, and I trust Alicia. So, and she even said, "Oh, Alicia knows what kind of books I like," and she said I would throw it in the trash. So I'm gonna go with I'm not reading it. Like it's never really been on my radar, so I'm not too surprised. But I am surprised that I see it on all the lists and I see it being talked about as being a part of groups of books that people want to read, but I'm not seeing anybody actually reviewing this book or even just talking about it in detail. So that makes me kind of wary about this book actually being good, because I don't. Yeah, I'm a little surprised by it, but that the women's prize is one of those prizes that I feel like when it was the orange prize, it was better. Because when it was the orange prize, I think it was more diverse and it was a lot better. When it became the women's prize, it seemed to have taken a weird shift and not for the better, in my opinion. Rosa said the thing is there are so many books I want to read. All fours will not get any of my time. Now, I definitely won't get any of mine. It definitely won't get any of mine either. So, so that's that. I know Alicia's so funny. I DNF'd it halfway through. All right. Now the next thing. This is just like a global question. Is it possible to be a successful book influencer if you only read 20 books a year? What do you think? I was watching a video and somebody brought this idea up and said that they had watched somebody else's video who actually talked about that. I didn't go back and watch that person's video because I wanted to hear what y'all got to say. Can you be a successful book um, influencer if you only read 20 books a year? What do you think? Is it possible or is it not possible? Okay, Tracy said she read one Miranda July book years ago entitled The Boy from Lamb Kean. Oh, you didn't like it. It was trash. I don't think I've ever heard of that book. Okay, so Morgan says, I think it depends on how you define success. Okay, well, I don't know, like any book, any book person, somebody that you go for references, or somebody that you would watch their videos or read their blog post or whatever the hell they're doing. Let's see. Nicole said book hauls are very popular, not book reviews. Yes, that is correct. You're correct, my dear. Morgan said, but I do think you can be if you post frequently, even if it's only about those 20 books. Hmm. For a whole year? For a whole year? Could you really do that for a whole year without like people watching you go, wait, didn't she talk about that book already? Because 20 books is, I mean, it's a good amount of books, but to be a to be a booktuber or bookstagrammer, or maybe bookstagram you could get away with it. Maybe. I think you could get away with it for bookstagram, but not for booktube. I think it's impossible to get away with that on booktube. Latrice said, I think it depends on what deems a book influencer. I read 150 plus and I don't consider myself a book influencer at all. Yeah, but Latrice, you read 150 books, but if you actually did videos and content around your 150 books, you would suddenly be an influencer right off the bat because you would be actively talking about the books that you read. So you would always have some kind of content because you read 150 books a year. Um, but I think if you only read, in my opinion, if you read 20 and you want to be a book influencer, I think you could do that on Instagram, probably a little easier. Um, Tracy said, listen, there are book influencers who you can tell. Tracy, come on out with the hot takes, Tracy. Tracy hot taking today. Listen, there are book influencers who you can tell don't read the book. So, okay, girl, I see you. Morgan said, I've noticed publishers like people who post pictures of books rather than talk about them. Yeah, for sure. You could still do hauls of books you haven't read in the meantime on Instagram. Exactly. That's why I said it would work on Instagram because you could haul to the cows come home and only read 20 books in the year and still be an influencer. Sadly, but you could be because everybody would be looking to see what you hauled next, not necessarily to see if what you hauled you actually read or liked or are really pushing. And you're correct. The publishers don't really care if you actually have read the book and are pushing it because you read it. Now, the thing is, I feel like that is like that because the publishers are afraid that if you actually did read the book, you wouldn't like the book, and if you might say, I don't like the book. So they would much rather you just, get the book, take the picture, show it, and keep it moving. Because in the publisher's mind, the more the book is shown, the more it like goes into the psyche of the different people on who are watching social media, whether it be Instagram or Substacks um, or YouTube, that it subconsciously goes into your mind, and you're gonna want to seek that book out, whether you really know what it's about or not. So I think that's what they're going with. That's why they don't care too much about us reading the books. Let's see. Nicole said you can copy reviews. Yeah, now that's really bad. I really would not recommend. No, do not do that, people. Don't do that. Mm-mm. Don't do that. That's all I gotta say. Please don't do that because people will know. Cher said I could never be successful with publishers because I'm too stingy with the 5-star ratings. Well, I mean, I'm pretty much the same. I mean, they if they give me book because they really think I'ma like it, but otherwise they ain't giving me a book. Oh, okay, so Teresa just see what, yeah, you could be an influencer if you really wanted to. If you started talking about your 150 books, girl, you'll be out there. Come on now. Nicole said, I'm guessing influencer in this conversation is different than person who discusses books online. No, uh, for me, an influencer is also someone who discusses books online. You know, it's not just someone who hauls all the time because that ain't it. But there's influencer and then there's influencer. So there's a difference. Curtis said, yes, I think it's possible to be a book influencer as long as the 20 books read are of quality and if they actually read the books for real. Oh my God. Curtis coming also with the hot takes. If they read it for real, I get you. I get you. I totally agree. Kay said, reading Firstborn Girls on my way home from grabbing tacos from lunch. Oh, okay. Bon appetit. Hello, hello, goodbye. Okay, Nicole said influencers haul makeup but do the same face. Ooh, okay. Yeah, copying reviews is shaking my head. You're like, who's doing that? Who has time to do that? That's crazy. Nobody's doing that. At least I hope. Well, I hope not. Rosa said, I think it depends on what you want from your influencer. Someone doing an excellent job reviewing and posting every other week, or something would get my attention. Okay. Bernie said, if you read 20 books and give detailed book reviews, you could influence me. But in a whole year, um, Nicole said, will they know? Of course they'll know. People don't cite sources and pass off thoughts that aren't their own. Always, you know how you can tell when somebody hasn't read a book because you can tell by what they say about the book and the way they talk about the book. Like, you can tell that somebody has not really like they just read what was under the Goodreads description because that's all they really say. They don't say anything else to make you know that they actually read that book. So you'll have questions, especially if you've read the book and you're watching it, you're gonna kind of know. I don't know any other way to describe it than that, but you can kind of tell. Okay, then Rosa says just because a person is popular may not be for me. It depends on the type of books they are reviewing. Yeah, for sure. For me, it's the same. I don't care how popular the person is. I care about what they're pushing that day. I feel like if they pushed 10 books that I can get behind, then I might go back. I'll go back and watch what they have to say. If it really sounds like they're actually reading the book and they're really talking about the book and making me kind of want to go and get on Blackwell's and buy something because what they said about the book is really intelligent and sounds like something that's up my alley. I would always go back and watch that person. But I'm not going to watch somebody who's just hauling it. If you're just hauling it and you're not talking about any books, that's not going to get me to watch. Um, and it also depends on like Rosa said, what are you talking about? Because usually now I'll tell you this, like there's some people I watch and I do not read, would never pick up the books that they suggest because maybe they suggest mostly sci-fi, but because I like their personality and the way they come off on camera, I will watch their videos even though I will not read what they suggest because I don't like to read sci-fi like that. But I would still watch them. So just to clear that part up. Okay, Tracy said, unfortunately, it seems that there is a small amount of us who really care about quality books. That's what it seems like because it seems like everybody is on there. Let me get that newest book that just came out. Yeah, I hate that too, Cher, but I think it's the truth though. Bernie said posting pictures of books means nothing to me. I want to hear people talk about what they've read and how they felt about it. Yeah. Which I feel like there could be more of that um on IG as well as on booktube. There could be more of that discussion of how you really feel about a book, more in depth than there really is because I feel like people are doing a lot of other things around books, but not necessarily talking about them in detail. Nicole says to Tracy, very true. They don't really care about quality of books. Nicole said, she says to me, I think you're a success in fostering a niche community. Yeah, and it wasn't really planned like that, but it just happened like that. One, because I'm incapable of lying and telling you I really liked the book when I didn't like it. I can't do it. It's written all over my face. But I just feel like why lie? There's no reason to lie about that kind of thing. I mean, you either like the book or you didn't like it. If you didn't like it, say why you didn't like it. If you like it, say why you liked it and keep it moving. But I don't read books that the majority of people on booktube read. So I'm still like the outlier in the sense where I read stuff that Other people just are not reading. And that's just how it is. It is what it is. Cher said, to influence me, I need expressions and visceral reactions. And if you love every book you read, I know I'm the same. I don't believe you. Then your Rex lose meaning. I like people stingy with ratings because when they say 5 stars, I listen. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I don't like it when people roll up and every time they roll up, it's I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. And it's like, but you loved every book this year so far. How is this possible? I don't know. I don't like that either. And just like I don't like the person that rolls up and hates everything that they read either. I don't like that either. I'm gonna have to, it has to be like real. Lex Reed said, I agree. I need you to talk about the book, not just haul it. Yeah. Nicole said, I would be influenced by a person reading 20 books a year if the books are good and they have good analysis. Yeah, that's fine. That grinds my gears. I guess that means I'm not sure what grinds your gears. Uh, I'm not sure what grinds your gears. Um, Tracy said sometimes a book stack photo of excellent books will bring attention to books that didn't get the hype they deserve. Yes, I agree with that for sure. Mm, um, because there's a lot of books like that. Like I still stand by Night Wherever We Go and The Blueprint. Those were two books that came out, I think, in the same year, 2023 or 2024. No, 2023. That were really good and that got no play all year long. And it's a shame because The Blueprint really, really good. Night Wherever We Go, really, really good. Let's see. Nicole said to share, I would influence you because I'm extra with my reactions. Latrice said, when you love and or hate everything you read, yeah, that grinds my gears as well because it's like that can't be true. It's impossible. You read 10 books and every time it's like, oh, I love it, I love it. You're like, nah, you didn't love that. Come on now. Um, Share says, Nicole, do you have a channel? If so, drop a link. Hey D, how are you? What are you reading? Hey Billy, how are you? What are you reading? D, are you back in on the BookTube prize? Or are you still off? Tracy said yes. Tracy Rose Payton, yes, yes. Tracy Rose Payton was Night Wherever We Go, and Ray Gianna Rashad was The Blueprint. Those were two books. I tell you, worth the read. Very well worth the read. Happy Friday, Billy. Nicole says to share. No, I'm too shy to be on camera. I need to do a podcast. Share said to Nicole, same girl. I always say I'm going to do a YouTube, but I keep posting my Goodreads reviews. You should do one, Share, because yours would be good. If you did one, you would be really good. Wait, let me see if I can find those two books because they were really, really good. The Blueprint. Let's see. Latrice says like y'all know when I love a book and when I hate a book. Yeah. And I'll even tell y'all when I'm extremely disappointed in the book. Yeah, like Harlem Rhapsody. I'm still not over that. Yeah, you see, like that's how I know because I know you now and I know how you react and I'm like, okay, there was something going on there because she's still not happy about that. So I get it, when I like those reactions because they feel more real to me than just someone just going, yeah, yeah, I really like it. And they've said that for 20 books. It's just like, no. Um, I mean, even you can say you like a book and still have issues with certain things in the book, even though you liked it. Morgan says, when it comes to the blueprint and Night Wherever We Go, I feel like people still want to avoid fiction that deals with slavery, and that's a whole girl. You got it. You hit it. I was about to say that. But you know what? I feel like those two novels in particular, one covers something that hasn't really been covered, which is these breeding farms, which was Night Wherever We Go has that breeding farm storyline to it, and I just for that people should have read because there are not a lot of slave enslaved narrative fiction books that have that as a centerpiece in the story. So for that, they should have read that one. And the blueprint, it even has a little bit of a sci-fi, or no, yeah, like a sci-fi fantasy kind of feel to it. The blueprint, because it's supposed to be like in the future. And for that alone, I think a lot of people would have gotten on board with the blueprint, and they would have seen something a little different than a typical enslaved woman novel. They would have seen something much more inventive and dealing with some of the same themes that we see in novels about enslaved people, but done in a different way. And I think people would have loved the blueprint if they would have given it a chance. Sadly, it didn't get hardly any press at all. Hardly anybody. I might have been the only person that read it. You and me, Morgan. The only people that read that book. But I will stand by the blueprint and I will stand by Night Wherever We Go. Beautifully written novels, lovely writing. The writing is very grounding into the grounds you into the story. But not only that, the storyline, does have a little bit of futurism, but at the same time it's enslaved people. Nobody's in the cotton fields, but they're doing other stuff, you know. So definitely a book to read if you haven't read it, The Blueprint. Definitely love it. Billy says reading Black and Blues by Imani Perry. Let's see. Dee said listening to James for the Book Two Prize. Yeah, I'm reading James as well. Finishing Julie Chan is Dead for Center. Wait, for Center for Fiction first novel. Okay, and slowly reading Honore's forthcoming book. Oh, very nice. Let's see. Latrice. No, Nicole said, "Can I ask a question? Do y'all use Internet Archive for books? Do y'all like Internet Archive? I don't use Internet Archive." Lola said, "Just got back. What are y'all talking about?" Well, we were talking about can you be an influencer, a successful influencer, only reading 20 books a year? And then that's gotten us on to talking about how people present the books that they either read or that they haul, and how often people don't talk enough about the books that they read. They just haul, or they just say they really like something, and or they'll say they read 20 books and they like them all, and or they hate them all, and then there's not enough I guess there's not enough discussion about books that than there is at the moment. That we need more discussion. I think that's what we're kind of like there. And at the moment, we're talking about some books that didn't get enough press, which are Night Wherever We Go and The Blueprint. Let's see. Nicole says to Morgan, "It's interesting how people can't deal with slavery, but will read sci-fi where people are enslaved or something like that." Exactly. I totally agree with that, Nicole, because uh, I think what I remember when I showed, I talked about it in my wrap up that had read Night Wherever We Go, and I think I did get a comment or two about, oh yeah, I don't like reading enslaved novels about enslaved people, or I can't read, that anymore, or whatever. I was like, well, I don't know, people. I don't know what we're gonna do, but it's a good book. If you want something good, this is it. But it's yeah, here it is, The Blueprint. This is the blueprint. This is the book that, if you have not read, definitely pick this one up. Really, really good novel. The Blueprint by Ray Gianna Rashad. Um, wait, the other one. Let's see. Uh, uh, it's this one. Um, let's see. Night wherever we go. Here it is, right here. Okay, and this is the other one. Night Wherever We Go by Tracy Rose Payton. Really, really, two really nice, really well written novels that should have gotten more play. Morgan says, good point to Nicole. Tracy says, exactly, Dee Dee, Night Wherever We Go was on a whole different level. The blueprint was on an enslaved theme, but with the sci fi twist, it was really good. Cher said, it feels weird to say I like slavery books because they are heartbreaking reads, but I reach for them when I feel disheartened about current events. They are a good reminder of what cannot be taken away. Yeah, definitely. Latrice said, I'm not sure if I heard of the blueprint until today when you brought it up. Yeah, because it when it came out, um, the publisher sent me an arc of it. And when it came out, I don't remember seeing very many people show it as, an arc that they received. Although I did see a few black content creators here on YouTube, younger booktubers who showed the blueprint, and but they hadn't said they had read it yet. So I don't know. Um Morgan said her book club gave such a hard time about reading Yellow Wife years ago that she didn't ask them to read anything related to slavery again, and the group consisted of mostly black women. Yeah, well, what can you do? What can you do? Um, Amalola says, I'm lazy with reviews. Amalola, they don't want to read. They don't want to read about enslaved women. They say they don't want to read that anymore. So Kay said, it's not the quantity of the books you read, it's more about how many people choose to read those books because of your opinion or recommendation. I get that, but that's not the main factor we're talking about is this idea of, is it possible to be a book influencer only having read 20 books in a year? Is that possible? Is that possible? Amalua said book club is where I review. Yeah. Okay, I get it. Morgan said to Amalua they found the content to be traumatic, although they agreed it was a well written novel. Okay. Amalua said also I can't deal with people who love every book they read. We just said that earlier. I was like, we can't. Latrice said that grinds her gears, and I said ditto. Amala said, I think it's a ploy to get publishers to send them books. Absolutely. Nicole said, I was in a group chat trying to convince people the color purple is not set in slavery and that it's a coming of age story. These same people will watch movies with so much violence. I don't get it. Like, I don't get it either. I think you're totally right on that, Nicole. You're totally correct on that. It makes no sense. Cher said Octavia Butler's Parable of the Talents had people enslaved with sci fi devices. That duology blew my mind with how accurately she describes today in great detail, written 30 years ago. I know everybody says that. Dee said, as much as they are trying to erase us and our history, they need to read it all. Exactly. Cher said to Nicole, too many people are not comfortable talking about impolite, uncomfortable, or controversial subject topics. Those make for the best and most meaningful discussions. Amalota says, I don't mind books with heavy themes. No, I don't either. Rosa said, I just love that there is so much variety out there. I think just try something different sometimes. If you don't like it, then that's what libraries are for. I love Libby. Girl, we all love Libby, but is Libby gonna last, okay, out here in these crazy streets? I got my fingers and toes crossed. Rosa said, and my favorite about Friday Reads is that you have people talking about all kinds of books. I always get ideas. I know, right? Rich readers in this group. The people that come and share, they're rich readers. They read a lot of different things. They have thoughts and opinions. And we always get a good discussion going, and we always learn about new books from somebody in here for sure. Nicole said to share if they can't confront difficult topics in fiction. I wonder how does that work in real life? Probably about the same, sadly. Dee said, I think I got the blueprint on my shelf somewhere. I gotta see and pull it to the front. Yeah, definitely, girl. Pull it to the front. I think you would like it. Cher said to Nicole broadly around exactly, and that's how we got to where we are today. I've started forcing political discussions on my family. No more polite ignorance in my company. I hear you on that. Latrice said, agreed, Rosa. Nicole said, exactly. Hey, Curly Q, how are you, girl? What are you reading? What's up? Amalola said, speaking of something different, my sister and I are reading fantasy next month, Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Okay, now that one is super popular. Like a lot of people, when they read that, they love it so much. I personally haven't read it because that's not my MO in book form. Now, if it was in a movie, girl, I would be there watching it. But I hear it's excellent. Everybody loves it. I haven't read it though. Amalola says, she, my sister, reads fantasy regularly. Okay, yeah. Hey, DL, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Happy Friday, DL. What are you reading? What are you up to? Come in and join this discussion we're having about is it possible to be a successful book influencer only having read 20 books in a year? Let's see. Okay, Curly Q said, I'm still reading Untamed Fate. It's a lot, but I'm enjoying it. Next up, finishing the Crazy Rich Asian trilogy. Okay. Yeah, I know. Untamed State, you got to get your mind right. If you ain't got your mind right, you need to like not even venture near that book. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you ain't got your mind right, don't do it. You will be like tortured. Let me tell you. Cher said, "Ooh, Robin Hobb's Reel of the Elderlings World is my all-time favorite. You are in for such a treat." Oh, Realm. Sorry, Realm. Yeah. Let's see. DL said, "I just finished Dolan's new book. Well, it just arrived today. Happy Land." Mrs. Brenda Jackson's 150th book, Spilling the Tea and Love, Rita, a memoir by Bridget M. Davis. Also good. Very nice. So you liked Happy Land. It finally showed up today from England, from Blackwell's. I might try to read that this month if I can. We'll have to see. Let's see. Hello, Alba. Alba said the whole concept of influencer is based on consumerism. So no, 20 books a year wouldn't cut it for the industry. Yeah, you said it, Alba. You said it. Uh, Tracy said Robin Hobb books aren't my cup of tea. I'm a little sick to share. Never heard of her. Latrice said I can't wait to read Happy Land. Yeah, it's staring me in the face right now. But I got these three on deck, so I got to be good. Curlicue said I have my opinions on the father, but I'm withholding my full thoughts until the end because right now, child, the daddy, I'm giving you the eyes right back, girl. Nicole said, has anyone read Murderbot series? No, but I follow someone on YouTube who talks about that series in her videos sometimes. She actually just mentioned it not so long ago, Murderbot, and then I saw that they had made a series out of it on Apple TV, and I thought, oh my god, this looks kind of like something I would watch, but not that I would read. D said, can't wait to read Happy Land. Tracy said, Happy Land, so very good. Dylan Perkins Valdez really is an excellent writer, and the research that she always puts in is top notch. Yeah, definitely. Latrice said, no, but everything I watch on Apple TV be lit. I might just have to read that. Murderbot. Uh, said to Alba consumption and not reading. I think they fulfill their marketing goals with the haul. Yeah, they do because when they gift you the book, like I can remember when they started giving me books, I would read the book and then I would do a review and then I would tag them so they could see that I did the review either on YouTube or on my blog or on Instagram or somewhere. They would not even say thank you for the review. They would just say, okay, like they didn't care. They did not care. So they just need somebody to show it. DL said, I don't think it is about the amount of books, it is about the breadth of books and the discussions you have around them. I think the term influencer is broad. Yeah, it is. Yeah, we came to the conclusion it's broad, but I think we were talking about how could you stretch 20 books over a year? How do you do that? Do you do like a book or two a month and you just talk about those books and like because I said I could see you doing an influencer could do it on Instagram very easily, just have 20 books and still be a pretty good influencer, but I don't see how you could do that on YouTube. It just would be like impossible. um because the YouTube audience is very, they want different things and they because like you can't, if you bring up that book more than three times, they're like looking at you with the side eye and they don't want to watch. Let's see. Curlicue said, man, I just looked up Happy Land, my first four books, historical fiction. I had to take a break. Oh yeah, I don't care. I like historical fiction a lot. Nicole said Murderbot is a good book to listen to while doing chores. Easy to find at libraries. I'd rather watch it though. DL said I don't have time to count how many books folks are reading, even if they call themselves influencers. 20 books is almost two a month. What's wrong with that? No, there's nothing wrong with it. We're just saying, is it possible to be a successful influencer only reading 20 books a year? So we're just discussing that. This was in I saw somebody talking about this in a video yesterday. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But we're just trying to analyze if it's possible. Cher said to Amalola makes her characters feel real. I worry about them and miss them. Okay. I love the two magic systems she created. They are literary and slow for fantasy, but unforgettable and beautiful prose. Yeah, a lot of people talk highly of that series. They really like it a lot. Um, Bernie said, my book club is reading Happy Land next month. I'm glad to hear that it is good. Yeah. I haven't heard anyone say a bad thing about it. Cher said, I only read the first Murder Bot. It was meh for me. Maybe expectations were too high because of all the hype. Yeah, because I know a lot of people talk about that one. Nicole said, "Yeah, it's not so." Bernie said, "If you give a good book review one time, why would you need to bring it up again?" So this is the thing. I don't know. You could compare it to something else you already have, or I guess you could, I don't know. I mean, you would have to really work that in. That's why I say I think it's really hard to do on a platform like YouTube, but on a platform like Instagram, I think it could work. I think it could work, but I still think it would be difficult for what Alba said, which is there's a consumerism that is attached to that. Now, the only way you can take that consumerism out of that equation is to like be one of those influencers that gets all their books from the library. Then all of a sudden, you're not having to buy all those books because you go to the library, you check out your books, you bring them home, you read them, you talk about them, and you bring them back. But essentially, when you're an influencer, what you're doing is you're trying to get people want to buy books when they see your account, you see. And so that's where the consumerism comes in, and that's why she said for the publishers, it would never work because they want tons of books being shown on people's channels, particularly when they are new, coming out in the same year that you're showing your that you're doing your videos. Curly Q says, successful as recognized by the industry is what I assume. I think the industry would like for you to read and push more than 20 books. Yeah. So you may not get the rotation and or interaction. Yeah. Nicole said, yeah, it's not groundbreaking, but hopefully the Apple TV will bring it to life. Yeah. Life. Yeah. Yeah. So it's an interesting topic. This whole thing of, book influencing and stuff like that. Um, but I feel like with all the new books that are coming out, they have to find ways in order to entice people into buying new books more regularly. But as is it really sustainable? All of that over I don't know how many years. How sustainable is it really? Because your house has limited space, so you're having to turn books, take them out, sell them or give them away or whatever because either you haven't read them or whatever. And so that can become a real issue over time. DL said 20 books a year is fine. So many folks worried about us reading 100 plus books a year instead of hoping that opening a book that and reading another chapter. Yeah, I don't know why people worry about how many books people are reading, but they do. Um, I'm listed with book influencing. Are people going out and seeking their own books? Huh, that's a good question. Well, I seek out my own books, but I don't know about other people. I think other people, they, they're very publisher heavy. So the publishers are constantly feeding them new books. So they have plenty of books and they never have to worry about, not having the new books because the publishers are there feeding them all the new books. And you know what channels there are. They're very obvious. The channels of people on YouTube, every book that they get either comes from the publishers, for a whole box of books from the women's prize, a whole box of books from the man Booker prize, a whole box of books from another prize, and they are heavy into the industry. So they're reading the books from the industry. And these same channels, when they talk about books, they don't talk about books like I talk about books. Like if I say, "Now I don't like it because of X, Y, and Z," these people don't say that. They usually kind of step around unless, they'll say something like, "Oh, it was, it was interesting But I read it really quickly, so I didn't really get into it or something. They'll say something so that you won't know that they just did not like the book at all. And it's a way of staying sweet with the publishers because the last thing they want is to funnel you, 10 books and you only like 2 out of the 10 and you basically dissed 8 of them on your channel. Like that's clearly not what they want. That's why they invite those same people to all the events and that's why they give those same people all of the books. I get it. I get it. Let's see. Uh, uh, okay, so Curlicue said, I think people focus on the number too much. I have a friend that reads 200 books plus a year, but if I try to talk to her about a specific one, she can't recall the details. Well, that's kind of normal. You read that many books in a year and you ask somebody about book number 50 and you're all the way toward, they ain't going to remember that. That's why I would probably, if I could read up to 100, that'd be fine, but I would probably not go over that because I'm forgetting shit. Um, all right, let's see. Where did I go to? Okay. 20 books a year is fine. Okay. Um, okay, Amala says with book influencing, are people going out and seeking their own books? Um, like you said, and these are the ones she enjoyed. I don't want that. I don't want to forget the books I loved. Yeah, I know, but the problem is, I feel like if you really loved it, you're gonna forget some aspects of the book, but you're not gonna forget everything. Just some things. Yeah, just a few things. Not and you won't remember everything because it's just not possible. Your brain cannot. There might be some things you'll remember just scene was really, I don't know, there was something really shocking or something like that, and so you'll probably always remember that. But I feel like that's just the way it is. That's why people reread books. Let me just see. Okay, I'm always said before social media, yes, there were books and magazines, but I love going to browse bookstores for what's out there. Yeah, definitely. I do too. Going to bookstores is that's how we used to look for books before, but now that there's social media, people just don't go browsing anymore and they just browse on the internet instead, you know. Cher said, and that's why we are here with you, Dee, and not their pages. Oh, thanks so much, Cher. Amalila said, these days, though, I find it's book recs from here or other platforms. Yeah. Uh, let's see. Nicole said to Amalila, it's funny how we take on internet language. Yeah, I seek out books as well. I don't feel influenced. Um, Curlicue said, the way my TBR is set up, I could never be another book and still not get through it. Latrice said, ugh, internet. Yeah, no, it was my battery. Yeah, battery went click like this because my computer is getting kind of old. So if I don't have it plugged in all the time, my computer just goes out without me even knowing it's going out. Let's see. Dale said I can tell when they didn't like a book. Like they have real general comments and keep it. Yeah, they keep it brief, and it never really sounds negative, but it never really sounds positive either. Nicole said, I find books from many sources. I think the impact of influencers only really matters to the publishers and the influencers looking to get paid or something. Um, I mean, yes and no. I think depending on what your community is like and how much they trust you, that. But I still stand by if you're doing this for the money, it's not going to last very long. You really need to be doing it because you love it. If you're not doing it because you love it and it's because it's really a hobby for you, then you're probably going to get tired after a certain amount of time of not making. I don't know how much money people think they're going to make doing this, but whatever. Um, yeah. Let's see. Nicole said, I find books from many sources. Yeah. I think impact of influencers only really matters to the publishers. Yeah. Let's see. Curly said, I get some of my fave books browsing the library. Yeah, the library is a great source for getting good books because that's what they're there for. But I feel like more people are into going to the bookstore than going to the library. I mean, if I was living in the States or if I was living in the UK, I'd be at the library all the time. But since now I'm living in France, I gotta go to the bookstore. But I don't have to go to the bookstore that much anymore. I have a lot of books at home and I'm really into this idea of reading my books this year, and I have read mostly books off of my shelf. And the new books that I'm reading that I have acquired, I'm reading them. So I'm not mad at how things are going so far this year. Let's see. Cher said, I've got a book addiction. I have more than I can read in a lifetime and look for almost every day, mostly from a few YouTubers. You guys could read and seeing what my library. Yeah, I mean, I do too, but like I said, I swap things in and out, and I'm really like I'm much more active now, reactive about how often I cull. Like I did all that culling over Christmas. If you haven't watched my culling over Christmas videos, where I literally culled two bookshelves and I went shelf by shelf, and I got out like 2.5 bags of books out of the house. And the bookshelves are pristine because of it. So I'll probably need to hit another bookshelf over there and go through that one as well. But you got to do that. I mean, I feel like there's nothing wrong with having more than you can read at home because of different reasons. You don't know what kind of situation you're going to wind up in where you may not have the possibility to go to the library anymore. You may not have of going to the bookstore anymore. And if you've got a little bit more than what you actually read, then you're going to be fine in the end. Let's see. Morgan says getting books from the library has helped me save so much money. Yeah, I actually see how many books I lose interest in reading just waiting for my library hold to clear. Yeah, because sometimes you're waiting for a long time. You're like, I don't care about that book now. Curly Q said that is my focus. Um, Reading books that have been on my TBR and books I have. Exactly. Same here. Cher said I watch all those culling videos and added books. Yeah, those culling videos were like I was like, this is because I was like it was like I was seeing the first years of booktube flash in front of my eyes. Some of those books I was just like, this was because of booktube about this damn book. Am I gonna read this shit? I don't know. Yeah, it was something doing those culling sessions. Um, Tracy said, make sure to hold on to the banned books by our black authors. Exactly. The current administration is trying to erase US history. Yeah. Uh, Cher said, I had to go digital years ago. Getting a proper e reader was a game changer for me. E ink is front lit, not backlit. Okay. Like a phone or tablet. No glare and looks a lot like book pages. Yeah, that's probably better on your eyes. Uh, And so what kind of e-reader do you have? Do you have like is it a Kindle or do you have a what's the other one called? Oh, I can't remember the name of the other one. I don't remember what the other one is called. Tracy said also book authors which are potentially going to be banned. Yeah. Curly Q said I bought Queenie because of book. Definitely didn't read it and donated it to a thrift shop. Hello, Don Kirstad. I loved. Oh, you like my Christmas culling videos? I got a lot of backlist titles. I'm glad you did. I was doing it and I was like, oh my God, this is so painful. The beginnings of BookTube possibilities. But I'm glad you liked it and you watched it. Thank you for doing that. David. Shara said pocketbook now. Oh, you have a pocketbook. Okay. Used to have Kindles, but screw bases. I know, right? Nooks are yes, Nooks are still a thing. And there's another one. What's the other one called? Kobo. Kobo, that's the other one. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, we definitely need to if you've got books by black authors, Hispanic authors, Asian authors, native authors, you need to keep all that because we don't know what these crazy people are gonna do. I mean, they might, get rid of all that and say you can't sell it or something. So it's good if you've got those books at home, cherish them. And yeah, I mean, also having a good e-reader is a good idea as well because you do need that when you like you got to have your e-reader when you go on holiday. Okay, Morgan. I think I'm going to be taking over my daughter's Kobo though because my daughter has a Kobo and she doesn't use it anymore. And she said, "Oh, if you want, you can use my Kobo. You can have my Kobo." And I was like, "Okay." So I might take my daughter's Kobo, and that might make my life a little easier for some books. Tracy said, "Yes, get into the backlist of authors. So many fantastic books." Um, and let's see. Bernie says, books Geo Color 7. I don't know that one. Okay. Cher said, "I'm always packing at least 250 books on me at any time I leave the house." Yeah, okay, because you got that e-reader like permanently in your bag. Um, so yeah, I feel like yeah, that might be the best way to go is to go with my daughter's Kobo since she's not using it. I won't mind using her Kobo. Because I feel like eventually we're gonna have to crack down on Bezos because somebody said I saw somebody say the only thing between Amazon and small independent bookstores closing is Barnes and Noble. When I heard that, I was like, well, that's frightening. So we have to be, really mindful of trying to support those, small bookstores, independent bookstores, and, maybe not using Kindle anymore. Let's see. Tracy said, "You've heard that you know who has specifically targeted the national of African American history and yeah. Shaking my head, says Nicole. Cher said, "The felon has targeted everything good and beautiful in this world." Amala said, "This is what they're saying. Yeah, this is what they're trying to do." So I mean, this is all, pretty much down to people not wanting to say no to this man, being afraid of him and not wanting to say, "No, I'm sorry, you're not coming into this part of this institution. You're not coming in this part of the government. No, I'm sorry, you're not going to do it." Whether that be locking the damn doors so that they can't get in, if everybody would have said no, then we wouldn't be here right now. But what did they do? They all buckled out and they either left and got out and didn't try to say no. So here we are. Here we are. So our only last possibility is if he tries to pull martial law on the country and the military decides to not listen to him. That would be the only thing that would be the last saving grace if he tries to pull martial law and the military says no, we're not doing this, and he has no military. That would be a blip. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I don't think it happen, but I think it would be great if it did happen. So here we are. Here we are. Nicole said, "Imagine if the federal workers did a sit-in." Well, it's a little bit too late now. It's too late now. Sheriff said, "What federal workers? They all got fired. Most of them got fired. So if they were going to do a sit-in, they would have had to do it right in the beginning. But what they needed is they needed someone to say no. No, you're not going to do this here. No, this is my department. I manage all this. Now you're going to have to go away because I don't know who the hell you are." And they didn't do that. They all just buckled under and they said, "Okay, we're gonna do what they say." Here we are. So I'm not sure that that's it's possible though that the military could turn around and say, "Yeah, you know what? No, we're not doing martial law on American citizens. It's not gonna happen." And make him run back up in the White House and be scared shitless of the army. That's what needs to happen. Um, let's see. Curly Q said, "Man said he could shoot someone in Times Square and still get elected. I believe him then, and I believe him now." Exactly. Sad. Cher said the woman that ran the military base on Greenland said no to Shady Vance, and she just got removed. You see? See? Tracy said, "Make sure passports and IDs are in order." Yeah, I'm getting mine in order right now. Nicole said people need to say no together. Can't be individual. Exactly. But in the very beginning, when all this was going down, that's what should have happened, and nobody did. Nobody did, and here we are. So the same with all of the law firms. The law firms were buckling under, that kind of thing. So it's not good, people. We in trouble. In trouble. So with that, I'm going to end here. This has been fantastic talking to you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Get some good reading in. And I will see you all next week with another Friday Reads. Bye.